Have you ever walked past a mirror and caught your reflection, not just your face, but the way your body holds itself, the way your shoulders rest, the way your hands tremble slightly when you reach for something? You might think, this is just aging. But what if I told you that beneath those small signs, something far more silent might be brewing? As a brain doctor, I have seen many things. Brain scans filled with shadows where light once lived. Faces frozen in confusion when speech won't come. Hands grasping for strength that slipped away overnight. And too often, I've had to sit across from a patient's spouse or child, explaining that what happened wasn't random, it had been building up for years. Not from catastrophe, but from habit. Quiet, daily choices. Especially in the morning, when the body is most vulnerable. Stroke rarely arrives like thunder. It begins like mist, curling gently into your life. A skipped glass of water. A salt-heavy breakfast. A quick jump out of bed. You don't feel the danger. You feel normal until you don't. Let me ask you something simple. What do you do in the first 30 seconds after you wake up? Do you spring out of bed, rub your eyes, and shuffle toward the kitchen or bathroom on autopilot? That's what most people do. But for someone over 60, that instinct can become a trap. You see, your brain, your most delicate organ, depends entirely on blood flow. And after 7 or 8 hours lying down, that flow slows. Your heart beats calmly. Your blood pressure lowers naturally. And when you suddenly stand, without letting your body catch up, there can be a sudden drop in pressure called orthostatic hypotension. A technical term, yes. But its effects are simple and chilling: dizziness, confusion, blurred vision, or worse, a sudden collapse. I've treated patients who fell and cracked their heads open just trying to make it to the bathroom. Others didn't fall, but something inside them did. A vessel burst. A clot traveled. A stroke began not with a bang, but with a silent shuffle to the kitchen. So I'm asking you, slow down. When you wake, take 30 seconds. Wiggle your fingers. Stretch your toes. Sit up. Breathe. Let the blood rise before you do. These small movements, these patient rituals, they are not signs of weakness. They are acts of wisdom. Like an old tree that leans gently before the wind. And once you're on your feet, let's talk about what you reach for first. Is it coffee? A pill bottle? Your phone? Or perhaps nothing at all? Here's what your brain is begging for, though it has no voice: water. A simple glass. Room temperature. Waiting by your bedside or on the kitchen counter. When you wake, your body is mildly dehydrated. You've lost water through breath, through the skin. But your brain? It's 75% water. It suffers first. Thicker blood. Slower circulation. Less oxygen. These are not small things. These are precursors to confusion, poor memory, high blood pressure, and yes, stroke. Every hour you delay hydrating, the risk rises. Especially if you take medications like diuretics or blood pressure pills, which quietly dry you out more than you realize. Imagine this: your brain is a beautiful garden. But overnight, the soil dries out. And if you start walking through it, planting seeds or pulling weeds, before watering it, you're damaging it without even seeing the damage. So drink. 1 glass. Before coffee, before food, before anything. Let it wake you. Let it rinse the fatigue from your cells. It is not too simple. It is foundational. Water is your brain's first prayer each day. And then, what do you eat? What greets your stomach at sunrise? I want to ask you not just what you eat, but what's hidden inside it. Many older adults think breakfast is their healthiest meal: whole grain toast, cereal, a scrambled egg. But salt-silent, powerful salt lurks in places that taste sweet or bland. That store-bought granola bar? It might have 300 milligrams of sodium. That bowl of instant oatmeal? Often 250 or more. And if there's sausage or cheese or processed bread on your plate, your sodium intake before 9 a.m. may already be pushing past safe limits. Why does this matter for your brain? Because sodium stiffens your arteries. It turns flexible vessels into brittle pipes. It raises blood pressure, sometimes only slightly, but enough to tip the balance in someone with aging vessels, someone who already has plaques or inflammation. And remember, your blood pressure naturally rises in the morning. It's a circadian rhythm built into your biology. But if you pair that natural rise with hidden salt, the result is a perfect storm, one that quietly raises your risk of stroke, especially the tiny ones that steal memory and balance long before a major event ever happens. I want you to imagine this: an orchestra warming up. Strings, winds, drums. But one instrument, the horn, is blown too loudly, too soon. It jars the whole symphony. That's what salt does to your circulation. It forces the body to compensate. And the brain, so dependent on gentle, even flow, is the first to suffer. What can you do instead? Plain oats with fresh berries. A boiled egg with avocado. Unsalted nuts. You don't have to give up flavor, you just need to stop letting the food industry sneak in silent danger. And always read labels. Salt doesn't always taste salty. That's what makes it so dangerous. Now, let me guess, you're still thinking about your coffee. And yes, we must talk about it. Coffee is sacred to many. It's comfort, memory, warmth. I understand. But when taken on an empty stomach, especially in large quantities, it doesn't just wake you up. It jolts your nervous system. It tightens your blood vessels. It raises cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart races. Your pressure spikes. And again, for those of us over 60, this isn't a mild jolt. It can be a push too far. Especially if you haven't had water. Especially if your breakfast was salty. Especially if you're already on medications that affect your heart or blood vessels. I've treated patients who thought their morning coffee was harmless until they woke up one day unable to move their arm, or speak clearly, or remember their address. Now, I'm not saying give it up. I never would. But treat it like fire, powerful when used wisely, dangerous when used carelessly. Drink water first. Eat something first. Then have your coffee with awareness, not impulse. And keep it to one moderate cup. More than that, and you're not just waking up, you're pushing your nervous system into overdrive. Ask yourself, are you drinking coffee to enjoy life, or to survive fatigue? Because if it's the latter, your body may be trying to tell you something deeper. Fatigue is not a caffeine deficiency. It's a warning sign. And this leads me to the next silence we need to break, the one in your body's subtle whispers. Those tiny morning symptoms you brush off, the lightheadedness, the hand that feels slightly weak, the word you can't quite remember, those are not just signs of age. They may be your brain's quiet plea, please, notice me. There is something sacred about the early hours of the day. A soft light filters through the curtains, the house still quiet, and for a moment, just a moment, you feel like time is yours. But it's in this fragile stillness that the body speaks loudest. Only most of us have forgotten how to listen. That slight imbalance when you stand. The fuzziness in your thoughts. The way your hand doesn't grip the toothbrush quite the same. You tell yourself, I just slept funny, or I'm still waking up. But these are not harmless quirks. These are tremors in the foundation of your brain's health, what we call transient ischemic attacks, or TIAs. Mini strokes. Microclots. Temporary oxygen loss. They're brief, yes, but they are urgent. And they are warnings. I've seen it time and again. Patients who dismissed a morning of feeling a little off, only to end up in my office 6 months later, unable to remember their granddaughter's name. Or worse, unable to speak it. If you wake with weakness in an arm, even for 5 minutes, log it. If your speech slurs briefly in the shower, tell someone. If you feel like the room is spinning not once, but a pattern, write it down. You are not being dramatic. You are being wise. Because a major stroke rarely comes without a whisper. The signs are almost always there, only we're trained to ignore them. We fear being a burden. We fear overreacting. But there is no honor in silence when your brain is trying to call for help. And speaking of silence, let's talk about a quiet danger that sits in your kitchen cabinet: your medications. You probably have a system, a row of bottles, maybe a pill box with compartments. But I want to truly ask you, how well do you understand those medications? Do you know which ones must be taken with food? Which ones need water to absorb? Which one should never be mixed with grapefruit juice or taken too close to others? I ask because the timing and consistency of your medications are not just about routine, they are about survival. Blood pressure medications, blood thinners, statins, these are your lifelines. But if taken inconsistently, they become a gamble. Skip a blood pressure pill, and your pressure could surge silently. Take a double dose by mistake, and it could crash, leaving your brain starved of blood. Swallow aspirin with coffee instead of water? You risk stomach bleeding or reduced effectiveness. It's not paranoia, it's pharmacology. Your brain needs stable blood flow. Not too fast, not too slow. Like a river nourishing a village, it must run steady. Medications are your dam, your sluice gate. They manage that flow. But only if you give them structure. So here is what I recommend, not just as a doctor, but as someone who has held the trembling hands of families who wished they'd known sooner. Use a pill organizer. Label it with days and times. Set reminders on your phone, your smart speaker, even a sticky note on the fridge. Pair your pills with a habit you never forget: brushing your teeth, feeding the cat, your morning prayer. And above all, never adjust your dose without talking to your doctor. I don't care if you feel fine. Many strokes happen in people who felt fine the day before. Because your brain doesn't care how you feel, it cares how you function. I once had a patient named Raymond. Quiet man. Retired schoolteacher. Took his pills religiously, except on Sundays. Why? I sleep in on Sundays, he told me, and I don't want to mess with my stomach before church. One Sunday, he forgot altogether. That night, he had a TIA. Not a devastating one, but enough to rob him of his handwriting, his sense of balance. One skipped dose. One small choice. That's all it took. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to wake you. These pills are not chores. They are shields. And they work best when treated with reverence. Now, let's move to something even more personal. Something most people never connect to brain health, until it's too late. Do you ever wake up needing to go to the bathroom, but decide to wait? Maybe you check your phone, stretch a little, sip some coffee first. It seems harmless, just a delay. But here's what's really happening inside your body. When your bladder is full, it sends a message to your nervous system: urgency. And your body responds, not just by creating the urge to go, but by releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These raise your blood pressure, tighten your arteries, and if you're already hypertensive or have heart rhythm issues, can send your cardiovascular system into alarm. In fact, there's a medical phenomenon called micturition syncope. It refers to fainting or stroke-like episodes triggered by urination, especially in older adults who delay too long, then rush, causing sudden shifts in pressure. The very act of holding it in can be a cardiovascular stressor. And then there's the heart. A full bladder can actually affect your vagus nerve, slowing your heartbeat in a dangerous reflex loop. In someone with arrhythmia or valve issues, that moment can be the tipping point. A moment that no one sees coming. It's such a simple fix. Listen to your body. When you wake, go. No phones, no distractions. Just that first act of honoring what your system is telling you. Think of it not as a chore, but as a gift you give your heart and brain. And here's what ties all of this together: your mornings are not just habits, they are data. They are your body's daily check-in, whispering what's coming next. If you wake dizzy, don't just brush it off. If you feel weak, ask why. If your fingers fumble the toothbrush, take it seriously. The greatest dangers we face in older age are not loud. They are quiet. They build in silence. Until they strike. But here's the truth no one says enough: it is not too late. Your brain is not a candle burning out. It's a fire that can be stoked, protected, nourished. Every day you have is another chance to preserve your memories, your movement, your words, your presence. You were not born fragile. Your brain is not some ticking clock waiting to fail. It is one of the most resilient, adaptable organs in the body. It has survived heartbreak, stress, loss, sleepless nights, surgeries, medications, and more birthdays than it cares to count. And yet, it still wakes with you each morning, trying desperately to keep you sharp, stable, and standing. But the truth is, as we grow older, that same powerful brain begins to ask for more help. Not because it's broken, but because it knows it's worth protecting. Let me ask you this: have you ever stood in the doorway of a room and forgotten why you walked in? Have you ever struggled to find the word for something simple, like spoon or kitchen? These lapses feel harmless. Everyone has them. But taken together alongside high blood pressure, dehydration, irregular sleep, poor diet, they can be whispers of a brain crying out for oxygen, for blood flow, for nourishment. And here's the most miraculous part. So much of this is reversible. Not with magic. Not with expensive pills. But with rhythm. With ritual. With gentleness. A body that rises slowly, hydrates deeply, eats wisely, and listens faithfully, is a body that protects its brain. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 72 when she came to me. A former nurse, bright eyes, but lately, she said, she felt like something was slipping. Her words. Her energy. Some mornings she'd feel dizzy. Some days she forgot her pills. She was drinking coffee on an empty stomach, skipping breakfast, holding in her bladder, and brushing off moments of confusion. Not because she didn't care, but because no one had told her that these little habits could be part of something bigger. She thought stroke meant collapse, paralysis. She didn't know it could arrive as forgetfulness, imbalance, fatigue. We sat together for over an hour. We didn't change everything, just the mornings. She started drinking water before coffee. Took her pills with food. Stood up slowly. Cut back on salt. Made her first act of the day a walk to the bathroom, not a scroll through her phone. 3 months later, she came back. And do you know what she said? I feel like my mind belongs to me again. Not perfect. But clear. Awake. Steady. And that, my friends, is everything. Because a stroke doesn't just steal movement. It steals independence. It changes how we speak, think, relate to others. It robs the dignity of aging. But when we prevent stroke, when we catch it in its footsteps, we do more than preserve neurons. We preserve identity. We preserve connection. We preserve you. Your brain is not just a machine. It's your library. Your music. Your laughter. The place where your grandchildren live when you close your eyes. And every morning, you get a choice: will I support it, or will I strain it? The world won't ask you this. No one stops you before you gulp your coffee or skip your pills. But your body does ask. Every day. With every whisper, with every wave of dizziness, with every forgotten word. And your answer, your morning habits, speak volumes in return. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul your life. Just start with this. When you wake, pause. Breathe. Move slowly. Drink water. Eat something whole and kind. Take your medications with intention. Listen to your body's first signals, before your phone, before the world. And above all, honor your brain. It has carried you through decades of life. Now it's time to carry it. I once read something from a geriatric neurologist that stayed with me. He said, the body is a home. But the brain is the music playing inside it. Without the music, the house may stand, but it is no longer alive. Let your music play as long as it can. Brightly. Boldly. And beautifully. And when you share this wisdom with a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, you're not just sharing facts. You're protecting someone's music. Someone's stories. Someone's ability to say I love you and mean it with clarity. So I leave you with this: you are not too old. It is not too late. And your small, gentle choices in the morning, yes, even just drinking water and standing up slowly, are acts of healing. Acts of resistance. Acts of love. You have more power than you think. More days ahead than you fear. And a brain that, even now, is rooting for you. Let that truth move you to act. Today. Tomorrow. And for the rest of the mornings you are blessed to open your eyes. Because those mornings, they matter. And so do you. Before you go, if this touched something in you, if it made you think, that could be me, or that sounded like my father, my mother, then please, don't let it stop here. Tap subscribe and join a community where aging is honored, not feared. Where health is protected, not postponed. Where your brain, your body, your future, still matter. And if someone you love needs to hear this, send it to them. Your share could be the reason they wake up tomorrow and choose differently. Your mornings matter. And so do you.